Hello,
Hello.
And we're live.
how's everybody doing?
All right. How are you
Good.
doing today, Achilles?
All good. We've had a very rainy day here, and I enjoyed that so much after a summer full of heat. Global cooking, it's at this point, and it's been raining all day since yesterday night, and the atmosphere is just so lovely. The smell in the air of the rain, I love it.
I'm sure you guys need the rain for sure.
Yeah, we've been having some warnings about water running out. The reserves are running out everywhere,
Wow.
so we needed it.
Do you have any desalinization plants in the
Uh,
country?
yeah, yeah, and it's interesting now that you mentioned that because I heard somebody on the radio who is responsible for all that stuff. Uh, I don't know his title, but he said that the reason that the government is announcing that we're running out of water is because they don't want to spend the money to upgrade the plants. So we are forced to shut them down, and they need some money, and the government is not giving it to them. So we are surrounded by seawater. We have a lot of desalination plants. I'm not sure if I pronounce it right, but we're not. We decide not to use them. We want to spend money on cars and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's an expensive way to get water because of the energy you have to put in to do that process. But
Yeah,
it's inevitable that a lot of countries are going to have to rely on that.
yeah. Plus, the salt destroys everything. Destroys the pipes. Destroys
Right.
uh, the pumps. So it's money. But yeah, don't ask me about this government. You're not gonna like what I say.
What do you think of Gangster Steven?
Yeah, I love him. There was a time that I thought that was actually you. I thought that was your face. I
Oh,
hadn't met like Stephen that well yet to know that this is my my brother in gangster mode.
this spot has Steven. Is that what was that? Is that you? Like, was that real? Right, Miss
I thought
Spot?
it was real.
Yeah, I did too. Somebody did tell me that it was.
Could
But
be
I
me.
asked Steven about it, and Steven said that he has had his hair like that, so.
Oh, gosh.
Hmm.
Yeah, that'd be
This
great.
AI is getting worse and worse. Pretty soon we won't even know what we're seeing, guys. Have you seen the Tom Cruise face swap? That famous video
Oh,
that is out there.
face off?
No,
Face
no, a
off?
face swap with Tom Cruise, and you just can't tell that it's
Oh,
AI.
I think so. I think I have
Mission
seen that.
Impossible. Mission
No,
Impossible. Oh,
I'll bring it up. I like that we're going into whatever realm and not a debate. So, which reminds
Yeah, what
me,
is this? What is this title? What is this title? BBM School Missing Mod and Achilles. Over Triangle Earth host? What?
I'm ready to school you guys, but you guys wanted lighter tone, so I'm just going to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know he has a strong argument on the triangle Earth, and I can't hear it.
I do have some questions about the flat Earth if we get into it at some point, just as a kind of intro to something that maybe we can talk about in the future. And
Yeah, sure.
I've sent these to Missing Maud too, and she, as a flat earther, she hasn't been able to answer any of them.
Which ones? Which
Yeah,
ones?
we'll show them to
Yeah,
you. I'll show them to you when after Achilles shows us.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a little embarrassing, reminds me once in Russia ran into Gorbachev. He said, Mr. Movie Star, are you the movie star? I said, no, Mr. Gorbachev. He goes, well, remember how much a polar bear weighs. I said, polar bear? He said, enough to break the ice. It's the last time I've ever seen a cow.
Is that him?
What's up, TikTok?
No, brother. This is an
Oh.
AI.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's back in 2020. He was holding a mask.
You guys grew up on Mr. Sports?
So is that some other person and they've put his
Yeah.
features on there? That's pretty well done.
Yeah.
They do the same with Arnold a lot.
They do the same with Arnold. Yeah, that's true.
As much as momentum. Hey, listen up, sports and TikTok fans. Do you like what you're seeing? Just wait till what's coming next. I'm gonna show you some magic. It's the real thing. I mean,
Yeah, it is hard to hear the video.
it's all.
It's
But
hard to hear.
I guess the visual part's the important part mainly.
So yeah, pretty soon we won't be able to tell the difference, guys. I mean, I can't tell already. If you told me that that's Tom Cruise and I didn't know it's an AI video, I would fall for it for sure.
The only thing, it didn't seem like his mannerisms or his personality to be doing like magic tricks and stuff like that, but it sure looked like him.
Plus, that fall looked fake. Like,
Yeah, the fall, he wouldn't fall like that. The guy's an athlete and
a professional.
right.
That's all like-
He's a stunt man. I mean, okay. Do you want to see a couple of these photos?
Yeah. Yeah. But I got to be right back for 1 second. I haven't even been off the stream like for that long. I just came right over. So give me 1
Take
second.
your time.
Okay.
Take your time.
Logan.
Dun, 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 dun,
Okay. So
dun. Dramatic music. Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
the question I would have for this, which is maybe a typical flat Earth model map.
But try to avoid the keyword because we're gonna get a warning under the video.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So this
Just say
is
shape. Okay.
this is the Earth,
Mhm.
and they have airplane flights from Sydney to Santiago, Chile, which if you see what it would take to go there would be a huge, because you're traveling over the Pacific Ocean the entire trip. If you were to do a straight line, you would go over, it looks like North America and a good chunk of South America, but that's not what happens for that flight. That flight goes over the Pacific Ocean, and it only takes 12 or 13 hours, whereas a flight from Los Angeles to London, England, which you see would be pretty close there, takes 10 hours, which is, pretty close to the same amount. And I would just ask, like, on your model, why those two take the same amount of time. That's one question. Okay. And
Right.
here's what you see, how the stars revolve around Polaris in the north and the south. I don't know if the south has a specific star, but how it's in the opposite direction if you're in the southern hemisphere.
All right.
The observed motion of stars can only occur if Earth is sphere and rotates its axis. If Earth is flat, stars
Not
would
true.
appear to move in a very different way.
Not true. But let's start one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And I would want to wait for Stephanie, where
Yeah,
you
let's
could.
wait. Let's wait for her.
What is it? I wasn't looking.
Oh, did you read that?
Oh no, I didn't.
Can you see
Oh,
that?
he's dead. Aiden.
They had a
That's why I'm
funeral
here.
pyre for him.
That's why I'm here. I wouldn't be taking part in the war if he wasn't dead.
Missing Mod, are you here?
Well, not
Yes,
yet.
yes, I just
Oh,
sat down.
Okay,
Sorry.
so the first question I posed was in regards to the flight from Logan. Can you go back one real quick? Thank you. If you go from Sydney, Australia to Santiago, Chile, the flight only takes about 12 hours, I think 12 or 13 hours. Whereas the flight from Los Angeles to London takes almost the same amount of time, about 10 hours or so, 10 to 11 hours. And given this map, which we're not supposed to call it a FE map, but the FE map,
not the
why
one.
are
This-
those the same amounts of time? If you can see demonstrably that they are on this
So-
map, the LA to London would take nothing. You know, they're so close together. Yeah.
So let me ask first. I have something ready to pop it up, but if I share the screen, it's going to, if it comes up, we're gonna get the infinity screen. Oh, okay. Since he took it away, let me share the screen then. I'm gonna ask you, have you been in that flight?
Have I been what?
In that flight?
I've been on the flight to LA to London several times.
Okay, I've been to. Oh, is there a straight one from LA
yeah.
to London?
Yeah.
Because I thought you always have to land on New York and then have a swap.
No, we went direct.
Okay.
I haven't been since I was 18.
So I'm sharing my screen.
That's why I like those flight tracker apps. Oh, there you go. He already got it.
So we have a lot of airplanes in the air, huh?
Yeah.
For some Americans out there, I'll just point out that this is Italy, this is Greece. So
Come on.
I've been asked in the university from a girl, is Rome in Greece? And
gosh.
yeah, I mean, we call it university, but still, there's some people don't care for,
There's
geography.
Sicily, Corsica, Sardinia, Tunisia,
So
Spain,
what I'm about
France.
to do is, you see how crowded it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna start zooming out. So as you know, if people don't know, this is a live representation of the planes in the air right now, as we speak, right? If I get an airplane over my head right now and I hear it, I can come here and check which flight it was, like this one. This is going to be over my head soon. Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm zooming out. And you're gonna notice something weird. Where is the flight that you just mentioned? Why is it so crowded up here?
Well,
And there
you're
are
talking
no-
about Europe and
And
you're
there are
talking about
no.
very populated areas, India,
Well,
Europe, North America.
Argentina is a crowded place, but every flight that leaves from Argentina or Chile is going up or sideways all the way to Europe if it wants to come back down to Sydney, Australia.
I
There
think
are
there's
no-
a direct
there are-
flight. There's direct
there are-
flights.
Yeah, there are, but they are extremely rare. They don't.
Yeah, but
like
even one.
you said specifically from Santiago, Chile, to Sydney. Where is this flight? I mean, I can see one coming from here, which is, let's say, Madagascar. We don't know where it started, but I can click
There's
it and see.
probably, there's probably one every 3 days or something, or 4 days. So, you're not going to see it on. It's not like going from New York to London where there's a flight going every hour probably, or every
Okay,
half
so
hour or more.
let me give you. Let's go back to the picture that you had and see if there is another good explanation for this. Because we see here that if you want to go from Sydney to Chile, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, guys.
No,
According to how.
that's close enough.
All right.
Chile.
Chile. Okay. Thank you. So you would have to go up and then go back down. Because a direct flight, if Logan switches to your picture right now, I'm going to stop this screen. You'll see that it is much easier to do. And you will not be going all the way into the sea. You are going straight, and it looks like on the map that we were seeing, it looks like we're going up, but you're not really going up, you're going straight. But if you take the flight, it is a long flight, and 60% of it, or even more, is water. But then you would start coming over Canada to your left, and you wouldn't.
It just
Guess
doesn't
why?
do that, though.
It does, because when I came to the States.
Can I ask Achilles? Excuse me.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me
Ghost.
finish this. Let me finish this.
Oh yeah,
brother.
yeah.
Let me
Go
finish
ahead.
When I came to the States, I was over water for a long, long time. I even saw a whale that was surfaced, and I took a picture of it from the airplane. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was looking at the window, and I couldn't wait to hit the shore of the United States. Because according to the model that I had in mind, I would see, boom, immediately. Now I would be all over the States. Like, it was a direct flight from London to New York. But I noticed that I started seeing islands, then the Falklands, I think it's called, then Canada. And then at some point, I got tired of seeing all that land, and I didn't get to see the towers that I had in mind, because according to how I expected the flight to be, the first thing that I should see was the overcrowded area of the States. But I
Where
didn't.
were you flying from?
From London. It was
To
a
where?
flight, Athens to London, and then New York. And then
Okay,
I've had another.
Why would you?
And then I've
Okay,
had another flight from
Athens
Germany.
to New York. Direct.
There was no direct flight yet. Now there is one. But back then in 2005, there wasn't a
Okay.
direct flight. You had to go.
But why would you come across the Falklands, which are down off of Argentina?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean the Falklands then. I
Okay,
mean
okay.
the islands over Canada over there.
Oh, gotcha. Like Baffin Island or one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Aiden makes a good point here that 90% of the world's population is in the northern hemisphere. Only 1 in 10 people on Earth live south of the equator, and so that kind of explains why your density of flights is the way it is.
But the density that you saw is way, way more. We're talking about a 98% to 2%.
Yeah, but you're talking about China, India, Europe,
there are people
North
in
America.
Sydney. There are a lot of people there. And every flight that leaves from there only goes to the center of this map. And if you track a flight from Chile to Sydney, you'll see what I saw when I did, that they don't go direct. They go that way that we just described.
I mean, the flight is over the ocean entirely, but It doesn't
Well-
go over North America and South America. That's not what we observe.
Well, if you take the flight and you see the map that we had, right? Can switch back, please, for a second. If you look at this map here, you'll probably see that 60% is water or more, but it's not where you think it is, like all the way out there in the ocean. It's much closer, and until it hits the backside of Canada and Alaska, it is going to be water.
Okay. We'll have to just leave that one where it's at for now.
Well, Big Bad Mama, I'm curious. I have a question.
Yeah.
I have Lopin's asked if he could come on. Would that be all right with you two?
I'd rather not. I'd rather just talk to Achilles and Missing Mod.
Okay, it's up to
That's
you
what we
guys.
had. That's what we had scheduled. So yeah.
Okay, then that would do that. And
Thank you, Logan.
You're welcome.
Yeah, could you go to the next one and unless Missing Mod has something to add to that?
Oh no, I don't. I know nothing about geography or anything like that, so I couldn't help in this department. I can't, help in any department of flat Earth, really. I get too ghetto about it.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means like
You
I
start
want to start
yelling?
like taking, like I want to take cheap shots, and like
Okay,
start
well,
fighting
take
and
it.
throwing chairs.
You can take a cheap shot at me. This is
No,
and
I-
Missy Mod, you've seen this diagram because I sent it to you, and you've had some
Yeah.
time to maybe look at it.
Yeah, I told you I sent you that video from Russian Vids where he talked about it because I asked him about it.
Sorry.
And what was his?
What?
What was his answer?
Well, it was he shared that video that he made. I guess I don't know if it was an older video that he made, but it was something from him where he talks about it.
Okay.
But it's been so long, I don't know which one it is now. I could probably find it though.
Well, that's okay. I don't want to watch a big video. I mean,
Well, I mean when you're on your own later
Yeah.
on. I mean,
yeah, sure.
My ad blocker is fighting YouTube, and YouTube is fighting back, and nothing's happening. So I hope this ad gets out of the way.
We can.
Yeah,
These are just questions that I have, and if we want to answer these later, in more of a kind of a dialogue about this, we can do that. These are just a couple questions I had. I didn't even want to talk about this for that long, but
yeah, let's go to the next and let this one get
sure.
get over the
Sure.
problem that it has. Or what
I
it
just
is.
have. So can Logan go back to show a figure? Logan, can you show that? So the one was the rotating stars. They're in different directions in the northern and southern hemisphere. And Logan, go to the next one, please. We'll leave that one where it's at. Okay. So here we have a person in the northern hemisphere and a person in the southern hemisphere looking at the moon. Notice how they see the moon completely at a different orientation. Upside down from one another.
Okay. I have a big question now for you.
Yeah.
Which one of those subjects do you want to be addressed first? This one or the previous one?
Let's go with the previous one.
Okay.
If you want to talk about that one.
Yeah, let's go. I think both of them are going to be very quick answers. So let's.
Okay.
Logan, switch back to the previous.
Logan, please switch to the last one back.
Okay. This one?
Exactly. Thank you, Logan.
You're welcome.
So on the left side, first off, this is a meme. We have it off the internet, right? Does that make that true by default? That what you see there is actually 100,000% true? Because I'm going to ask you this. On the left side, let's focus on the left side for a second. We can do this experiment, and we know the center has a specific name. Do you remember the name?
Can you repeat that? The center of what? Polaris, you mean?
The center star in that circle, there is
The North Star?
one star in the center. What it's called? Do you remember?
Polaris?
Polaris. From polar, right? It
Right.
is the one
Yes.
star from which everything turns around. So that was a very easy name for you to pick up. I just asked you, and you know the name. It's Polaris. What is the
Right.
other one?
The other one, I don't think there is a specific star. There's just a point that all the stars revolve around it, that they track around.
Why not? Why doesn't that point have a name? Why don't the stars
Well,
close to it have a name that you recall? I have a possible answer that
Go
this
ahead.
is not happening in the south, and this is a fake picture. And what you see here is exactly the same. And all they've done is they added the word south, so everybody says, "Oh, that's south." Well, no, it ain't. It's still the north. It's the same place. What there is, although, a difference in the night sky in the south. We have the cross constellation on the south, which is
Yeah,
not
the Southern
visible
Cross.
from the north. Yes, but that can be explained by going further and seeing a different sky. It doesn't mean that you are below. All right. So if you consider an endless, let's say, plane, and there is a sky above it, the further you go on that plane, the further the sky you will see, a different sky, right? So
Yeah.
food for thought, food for thought. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. Why do you have, the Northern Lights, right? Aurora Borealis.
Yes, and there is also the Aurora Australis.
Right. Aurora Australis, and
Ooh.
it's visible, in New Zealand, and I think at the bottom tip of
But
South America.
yeah, but the reason Stephanie is getting, I'm sorry for using the name. I'll try not to. I'm trying not to, but I love her, and it's a close relationship, and it happens to me to use people's small names when that happens. So I'll try not to. The reason she gets a bit aggravated sometimes concerning this issue is because it's fundamental research, and people that went that way is not because their family educated them that this world is not the shape that we're told. It's because they did their research. So those that don't, at some point, the other side gets mad at them. Like, why do you not go and look into it? And why I said that is I don't remember that I had a reason for saying that. Yes. So if you go to my favorite, my old homepage, I didn't have Google as a homepage. I had the spaceweather.com gallery, which is not, you can't find it from the website spaceweather.com. You have to research, Google spaceweathergallery.com. Oh, not .com, just Space Weather Gallery, and you're gonna get a front page of people, backyard astronomers / professional astronomers and astrophotographers of different objects that they take pictures of every night. So every day that you open up that web page, the picture is different. Today it might be all Jupiter. Next day it's going to be all Mars, depending on what people took pictures of. So
Right.
coincidentally, you get a 95% Aurora Borealis, and you get a less than 5% of Australis. And those that take the picture of the Aurora Australis are always super high professional astronomers like NASA and stuff like that. And I wonder,
Well,
my family has been in the North Pole. I chose not to go, and I guess I should, because they also rode snowmobiles, so I should have gone. And they took pictures of the aurora borealis. But
I mean, look at the amount of land mass that's in the north. I mean, you have Alaska, Canada, Northern Europe, all of Siberia, and just the amount of massive land that's up there in order to see the aurora borealis. There's just a lot more people living in the north, whereas not many people live in Antarctica, for one thing, and then Antarctica is surrounded by a lot of ocean with some
well,
unpopulated
yes,
islands. So the only places you have are really New Zealand and
Australia.
the tip of South America. So that's the reason you get all the photos of aurora borealis and not aurora australis. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes, it does. But the aurora borealis has been cited um, very, very low, especially for the past 5 years. It has made records, record
True.
uh,
Tracking
low
south.
altitude. Okay, yeah. But that doesn't happen on the other side. So if you take the model of what is actually happening, which is a solar storm is shooting the particles, and they get absorbed by those two poles that we have, it should be, if not 50-50, let's say the north is stronger, okay? It should be 60-40, should be 70-30. I'm just saying there are not many sightings of the Australis as much as there are. Anyway, your answer, I think, could cover that, because most of the north of the south is water, and we have like not many land masses that we can observe it from. I'll take that. I'm just
Okay.
trying to also hit your curiosity by giving you the answers that,
Right.
maybe
Thank you.
maybe those that are uploading them, they are taking again the north, because I haven't seen amateurs taking pictures of the Australis. I only see super professionals, not even professionals.
Well, that's something I'll look into. Definitely.
So
And we don't, that's, we can switch topics now.
okay, to this picture,
Oh, yeah.
I want you to tell me, if I were to remove the big ball from the right side
The Earth.
and replace yes, I know this is how you want to call it, but
I don't think that's going to get us blocked.
yeah, no, I
I
just
know what
love
you're saying.
I just love calling them balls, because they are.
The
right?
oblate spheroid.
Yeah, that's what triggered us, really. Just letting you know, it really triggered us. It's
Uh-oh.
not.
So Missy Maud's going to go ghetto on me if I talk about oblate spheroids.
No, I mean those that changed. That was a very weird statement, because the picture that we have doesn't show that. But anyway, to the question on the picture that we have here, if I were to take the right ball away and put in there a flat plane where both these people would be standing on, okay? So we remove the shape that we see here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And we replace it with a direct line that connects those two. Why do you think that they should not be seeing the moon upside down if one of them is looking?
Excuse me, is there a weird noise that's happening to anybody else?
Yeah,
or
I'm hearing it too. That's not from here.
Okay, it's not from me, I don't think.
Me neither.
Gangster, do you hear that?
Yeah, it's from me, probably from the Facebook thing.
Okay, it's weird.
So do you see?
Okay.
So do you see that what this picture is describing would be
Yeah. So
exactly the same if
why would it be exactly the same if the people were standing in the same vertical?
because you're looking at the same object from a different point of view, far away from the other one.
I just don't see why that would give you the exact opposite view of the moon if people were standing on a plane.
They
You
would
know,
not be tilted. They would not be tilted the way you see in the picture. Okay, but they would be as far away.
well,
And if the moon was in between them on an equal distance, they would see it. One of them would see it upside down. So that doesn't say that where I'm standing on is the shape. This just says that I'm looking at that from another perspective. So if I have a lamp in my room, and you go to the left side of the room and you look at the lamp, and I go to the right side of the room and I look at the same lamp, and I see the other face of the lamp, that means my room is a ball. See what I'm saying?
okay, but that's saying that the moon is in between the two people in your room.
Like the lamp.
The lamp is the moon, you're saying, or
the lamp is in between the two people in the room.
okay.
I just
So how? Okay, I don't like that analogy too much, but I understand what you're trying to say with that analogy. But I think with that analogy, you would just see two opposite sides of the moon. You wouldn't see the orientation differently from top to bottom like you do in this model. So I'd like to see it. Somebody in the community, in your community, has drawn this diagram out.
Which one? I'm not part in any. I'm not part in any community.
You won't let me say certain words, so I can't. So
I gotcha. I gotcha.
I have to say it however I say it. But
I gotcha.
why? Yeah. So I kind of lost my track of thought there. So I would like to see a model like this with the Earth the way you see it, and how these views are possible with the moon. And how far do you think the moon is from us? Do you have a thought on that? Do you think we have accurate measurements on how far the moon is?
Think I want to take you as an individual who is able to do some math. So what I want you to do is to read online the exact size of the Earth, read the exact size of the moon, read the distance in between, and put it down and write it, draw it.
Okay.
And you will notice that the distance that it has is around 1,000 times further than what this picture shows. Because in this picture, it makes sense. But if you put it at the exact distance that it has, to give you an analogy, which I've personally put down, you can fit every solar object of the solar system between the distance, and you cover half the distance. You can put Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, all the little ones, all the asteroids of the asteroid belt, and you've just covered half the distance. So gravity is pretty strong on this B here. Like, it's pulling it around, and the distance is huge. But to the question,
we're the closest object by far to the moon. I mean, the next closest planet is Venus.
Right. But if you put that model down, you'll see that when you have a central object, the sun, that is holding everything together, even Neptune. Right?
Right.
When you put down the distances and you see how far the moon is, every time that it was going towards the sun side, it should be getting influenced a lot more than what the Earth has as a gravity to pull it right back. But we don't see that happening.
The moon should be getting influenced by the sun more than the Earth, is what you're saying?
Yes, and you will understand that when you try to draw it.
Well, I mean, the moon is revolving around
that's
sun.
what they say.
So it is it is being controlled by the sun's gravity.
Yeah, but I want you to imagine the two trajectories, one of them going towards the sun, and then at that moment it is receiving the highest gravitational pull, and then at that right moment it continues its journey back to go around the Earth, and it is very far away. Again, the distance of all the objects of the solar system together is around 120,000 miles.
The diameters, if you take all the diameters put together of Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, etc.
Not my anus. Yeah, but yeah.
Yep.
That's why, you gotta try calling it Uranus, because that way jokes can be made. But yeah, that is 120,000 miles, and the distance of the moon and the Earth is 384,000 miles. So that is a very big distance, man. And if you draw it, to see the size of the Earth, the size of the moon, man, we're pretty strong. Gravity is pretty strong. I don't know. Yeah, and that's why I say that you gotta we start this discussion, not we here, but a lot of people that want to defend the model that they grew up with. They're only beginning this approach by wanting to prove the other side being silly. And
I'm not trying to, I haven't called you that or anything.
No, it wasn't a personal thing. I did it too. The only way somebody is approaching this subject is to prove to the other side that they are wrong. They do not begin by the possibility that they've been lied to for 500 years.
I understand that. I think the problem is we have a model that we present, and here's one right here that I'm presenting, but the FE people don't usually present their model, nor can they tell us what's on the other side of their Earth. There's all sorts of unanswered questions, and they really just attack our model as opposed to
that's a straw man, not from you specifically, like you're doing it on purpose, but it is a straw man because both what you just asked, they have answers. The first question is about what the model is. It is the one you brought up, which we can see that it is the logo of the UN. The UN logo is this map, and this is the model that it's been suggested. And the second one is there is no below. You have this mentality, not you,
so
plural, that whatever it is, it's floating in space. The true FE society is saying that space is faked. It's not there. There is no space. There is only WAP, there is only up, and there is down. Down is Sheol, Hades. See it in more of a form of dimensions. Like up is what the Bible tells us. There is the first firmament. There is the first heaven, which is the firmament. There is the second heaven, which is the stars. And there is the third heaven, where God is. but we've been convinced that we can go up and get out of the firmament, which is one place that I disagree with Ken Hovind. I don't think it's broken, and the FE, not most, a lot of people have different views, but a lot of the FEers understand this, that we can't go anywhere. So that should take care of the what's underneath thing. There is no underneath.
Well, I mean,
you don't want to know what's underneath.
We can measure earthquake waves from anywhere in the world, and by them bouncing off the different layers of the earth, including, through the mantle, they're traveling through the mantle, these waves, and they're called P&S waves, and they're generated by earthquakes, and they bounce off of parts of the core, and we can pick them up at different parts of the world based on where they bounced off these parts of the inner earth. So we do have a lot of information, geophysical information, about what's on the inside of the earth.
Yeah, but I'm gonna call you out here because when you said underneath, you meant outside of that. So there is an underneath on the ground that I'm stepping on. But on the question that you asked, what is underneath space-wise? Like, is it just rock? Like, if I were to go down there, would I see a turtle? There is no underneath. Now, between the surface and that place, of course, there are things that we don't know what they are. Tectonic plates, well, they've told me about them, but we can't see them.
Oh, we can't talk about those, though. You said that was going to be boring, so we couldn't talk about those.
No, the Pangea thing is, but the tectonic plates.
Well, they're the same thing. And I do want to talk to you about that sometime. So I hope we get to talk about that.
But really, to your question, to your previous comment on the tectonic plates, I do want to say that I've had a couple of earthquakes recently that they shocked me in a sense of how sudden they were. The movement was so sudden that it just didn't make sense that something broke. It was like the whole area just moved to the left and the right for a split second. It was like, what was that? And it was an earthquake. But I've been programmed.
It was quick.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Yeah.
Like not even dogs managed to bark. Nature was just sleeping, and all of a sudden, everything just shook around.
Right.
And I too have been educated, for not using the word programmed, to thinking, oh yeah, it's this when it's moving and it's scraping the other one, it happens and this happens and blah blah blah. I'm not saying I came from outer space. I know that, but it turns out that maybe there's a lot we don't understand.
They can see where the epicenter is of these earthquakes. They can measure it pretty accurately. And to your point, I've been in several earthquakes where sometimes it's just boom, it just hits like a shock, as you said, and then it ends, and then the curtains or the blinds are moving and that kind of thing. But I was out in the desert for a 7.2 earthquake, I think. I was sleeping, camping out there, and it woke me up, and I could see it went on for a while, and the surface of the earth was like waves on water. It was rolling. You could see the earth rolling. And so it all depends on the depth of where the quake happens, where your proximity is to that quake, what the geology is of between you and the epicenter. Is it all granitic rock? There's all sorts of things to go into why an earthquake might feel different from another earthquake, or to an individual in one location and an individual in a different location.
Okay. One thing though that you said, and I want to correct, I don't know if I'm correcting what do you think about it, or if you just misphrased it. The only way that we can detect the epicenter is because we have not forecasting. We have recording devices,
Right.
and the one that has the strongest wave, we say, is where the epicenter was. We have no other way of knowing where the epicenter was. What we can do is see that, let's say, in the city that you are in California, the wave was very big, and in the next city it was much smaller, so we suppose that it was closer to you. That is how we detect it. We don't have any other method of pinpointing the exact place of the epicenter.
They use triangulation to come up with a specific location.
Yes. With
and that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So when you're using 3 different locations. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it is truly scientific, but we don't have like any more complicated way of understanding and saying, oh, it was there. We know it's right here. We don't. We know it was close to Sacramento, somewhere there, according to, you know, the earthquake stations around it, that those had the biggest impact. So that's how we triangulate. And yeah.
Okay.
But then there are some that they just don't make sense to my newest understanding of things. Like the shock is so sudden. It's like, how big was that cavity that broke, that the whole area shook that way? You
what
can
do you mean
only,
by cavity?
I mean, you know, the plates are getting together and pushing upon each other, and at some point something breaks, and that creates that gap, and the falling rock, the breaking of that rock creates the blow, the impact. So how big was it to be that sudden? And the only way to get triggered into thinking that is on the next one that will hit, because California too is seismogenic.
Oh,
right?
yeah, we have the San Andreas Fault goes through here. 2 major plate, the North American plate sliding across the Pacific plate. So a major tectonic plate boundary goes through California.
Yeah, Greece is too. There's a lot of common things with California and Greece, and this is another one. We are a very seismogenic area. But then there are some things that happen, like last week. I read the news that the president of this country, who is known for his bad luck, in which I don't believe in, I believe they are orchestrating some things to present him as a bad luck dude. He made an announcement out of a very specific village somewhere in Greece. And I saw that and I was like he didn't even go to a major city. He made an announcement out of, you know, my grandma's village or something. So it was weird to me. And then the next couple of hours, we get a 3.5 earthquake on that specific village. So I went back on the news and I found it, and I took a picture of both those titles because it was very striking to me. And I have the picture, I can show it to you, but I do believe it's going to be all, it is Greek. But it was very funny to me that this guy speaks from that village, one of the 10,000 villages that we have, and the next hour we get a 3.5 earthquake on that village. It freaked me out, and I'm just saying, maybe not everything has to do with the tectonic plates. Maybe there are things in a spiritual realm, a spiritual battlefield, that we're trying to
manifest in
Yeah.
natural processes.
Thank you for helping me find the right words. Yes.
Well, that's conjecture, purely conjecture.
I know, but it was so striking. I admit it that it is, but it was very striking to me.
Right. I understand. I mean, a 3.5 isn't that big of an earthquake, for one thing.
Yeah, but we get a report every time we have one, And
Yeah. I mean, you probably are having earthquakes of different sizes almost all the
yeah,
time.
the serious
I would
ones
think.
start at 5. The serious ones.
Yeah, I would say so. Definitely. Let's see.
I do.
You want to
I
switch
do
topics?
walk. Yeah, sure. And I would say let's give the floor to Stephanie if she has anything.
Yeah.
Again, I
Maud?
did it again.
Yes. No, I don't have anything to add. I'm so
What's
sorry.
your topic? Do you want to talk about anything in particular?
Let me think. Oh gosh.
What do you think of that?
I'm scared.
Achilles?
Talk about
Oh,
random.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's
Go
good
ahead,
stuff.
Miss Mom. Don't be scared.
Go ahead, Juan.
I don't really know. My brain
She's
is not
enjoying the
working right
discussion.
now. Yeah.
She's
Exactly.
enjoying it.
Are you, or are you bored by the discussion?
No, I'm enjoying it.
Oh,
Okay,
I need to tell you something, guys. I found this out. Gilgamesh was the first one to talk about zombies eating the living.
Okay. Well, what is your take on Gilgamesh? Achilles.
I have the book. I have the book right here.
I read it way back when. How do you relate it to the Bible, to the Old Testament, maybe Genesis in particular?
I consider okay, first off, I don't call it an epic. They call it an epic. I am Greek, and I come from the area where the term epic was coined, was conceived. And epic only comes together with the word poetry. It's epic poetry.
Yeah,
So
epic
when we
poems like Homer.
Yes, when we use the word epic, in Greek it is epos, and what we mean is something that is very long. For example, I can say about your life, you've had an epic life, and that means that you've been through a lot. And mankind has taken the word epic and put it on a 70 pages story. That doesn't make it epic. They call it the Epic of Gilgamesh, but it's not epic, because the word epic poem was there to differentiate a poem that rhymes for 16,000 lines from every other poem. Now that is epic. So the Odyssey is 16,000 lines and the Iliad is 12,000 lines. I'm a little off, but I'm giving summation. I think it's at 11,384 or something like that, if I want to be exact, the Iliad. But they rhyme from the first line all the way to the end. Now, the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's a story of somebody who just wanted to become a god, and we get the stories of what he went through, a quest to become a god. So what I see in it is an anti-Bible message. It's the exact opposite, and it comes from Babylon, which burned anyway.
Well, Sumeria, the culture would be Sumeria in particular, though it's in the Fertile Crescent. But it's, it's estimated to predate the writing of Genesis by centuries. And it's
Yeah,
also
West
seen to have an influence on Genesis in terms of probably the Noah's flood and the Garden of Eden stories.
Well,
Um,
Noah's flood, or a flood, a worldwide flood, has been recorded by almost every ancient civilization, and the Epic of Gilgamesh is another one. It's been recorded by the Chinese, by the Aztecs, uh, Greeks, um, and I
that's
don't even
true, but
remember.
this one predates the writing. I mean, uh, Bible scholars currently think that Genesis was written during the Babylonian exile, which was when like the 500, 600 BC. And that's where they picked up the influence of these stories. Um, and,
Okay.
this is where the after the siege of Jerusalem in about 597, there were about 7,000 individuals, Hebrews, that were deported to Mesopotamia. After that, they destroyed Jerusalem and Solomon's temple. Uh, so the history shows that they picked up these stories when they were taken to Mesopotamia and came up with their own stories in order to have their own identity as a people. Um, and I know that you're not going to agree with that, but that's what Bible scholarship would say.
Well, not the
How
Bible
do you?
scholars that I've been listening to,
So
because we get in Genesis we get a description of things that predated the things you are describing. So you're saying that they wrote them after the fact, and they went like describing all the way from the beginning, all the way to the flood and Noah, post, right?
right.
Post fact. Okay. No,
Well, I don't. My personal opinion is that those events are mythological and not literal historical events. But go ahead.
okay. But if you look at other civilizations that did come later, they do bring in things that the Bible has been describing, even though the Bible doesn't give us a lot of detail about them. For example, we get in the beginning there were giants. In the beginning, not in the beginning. In the beginning, the phrase belongs to the first pages of Genesis. But later on, there were giants in those days. And if you look at Greek mythology, you'll see that they were called Titans,
Right.
and there was a fight between Titans and gods, and the gods won. According
Zeus and
to
Poseidon and Hades were brothers, and they ended up beating the Titans, who were their father. I mean, or Kronos. I don't forget who the father was, but they were
yeah, it
brothers.
was
Those three.
it predated the Dodecatheon, which is the 12 gods of the Greek
Right.
mythology. That
Right.
fight predated them. And there is something very interesting, which as a geologist, I actually invite you to at some point come to Greece. I'm going to tour you around.
Sure.
There is the area Olympus, where the Olympus.
Uh-huh.
There are some huge rocks, round rocks, all over the mountain, which, according to geologists, they don't belong there. They have nothing compared to the rest of the ground.
Okay.
And
And it's on Mount Olympus?
yes, all around it,
Okay.
as you are driving to go to the top, you see these big rounds anywhere, which are like, I don't know, 10 pounds each, like pretty big. The word big doesn't define
Huge
it.
boulders,
Yeah, yeah,
massive
10,
boulders.
10 ton. And they don't belong to the surrounding at all. Now nature has taken over, but it's mind-boggling to geologists.
Okay. I'll
I
check it
say the
out.
flood explains a lot of things, but that's me, our young Earth creationists. So I don't know. I think that there are so many things in the past that have been hidden because they are proving the existence of God. Now, the war between titans and gods, no, I'm not into that, But I do believe what the Bible says, that this could be a reason for the flood because of the Nephilim taking up human women and having offspring. Who knows what that offspring was about? So then
I guess
we get the book of Enoch that gives us descriptions and a lot of information on the subject, but I don't believe in it. I believe that the reason that God is not giving us details through his prophets is because we shouldn't care for the little details. What we should care is to understand the history and understand how we've arrived to today and why we needed the sacrifice of Jesus, how we fell from grace, and getting into the particular of, those giants were like this, they were like that, they had 6 feet, all that. I don't care for them. None of those contributed to my rebirth.
right. Do you think I mean, we know the parables were metaphorical, and that Jesus was discussing spiritual, quote unquote, spiritual messages through those parables, right?
Yes.
He was. So I guess, why wouldn't the miracles themselves be the same as parables, considered as metaphorical, like the parables?
Okay, common question, and I'm glad to give my answer on the subject. When Jesus spoke in parables, he was always telling you that this is a parable. It would start that way. And he even said that I'm using them because others won't understand what I want you guys to understand. So he had a very specific reason for using parables, where those that didn't have the spiritual eyes and the spiritual ears, they would not understand them. But when you go to before Jesus, you had the account of how things happened. You cannot have a parable when you're talking about an account. You can only have a parable, like, for example, the discussion we had about the moon, and I immediately jumped to another example in a room. That was apparently a parable. It was apparently something that simulates what we were talking about. You never thought that that it's not a parable. No, I don't want a metaphor. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the difference. We get an account, and understanding the true history is mind-blowing, because I do believe that I came in billions of years of accidents and death until God opened my eyes, and then I saw that everything in there is literal, even the shape. And there are so many Christians, by the way, that want to attack the shape. I feel sorry for them. I'm not going to go out there and debate everyone. I don't care to. It's math. If you don't want to do them, don't do them.
This is what Aiden said.
I'll read it. That's not true, Achilles. Jesus spoke plainly to his disciples and spoke in parables to the unbelievers because he didn't want them to understand his true intent.
Help
How would you
me.
respond to that?
Yeah, help me understand. Please go back a little bit. Okay. Oh, okay. So what he mean? Okay, I wanted you to help me understand what was not true in what I said, because I think I said exactly what he said next. But Okay, he spoke in parables too to his disciples, but of course, he was more direct with them. But sometimes, you know, the parable of the prodigal son, um, he was giving them things in parables as well. But there was no intention of Jesus to talk to specific people so they don't understand. If he wanted that, he wouldn't have spoken in the first place. He wanted to differentiate between those that have spiritual understanding and separate them through that. And that included the unbelievers, not just the 12 people that believed in him.
But somebody wrote these accounts, and it wasn't Jesus. So somebody wrote these accounts decades after the time when Jesus lived. So how do you know that the writer of that, and you're going to say that it was really Matthew and it was really Mark, but a lot of Bible scholars say that the Gospels were anonymous. I guess.
Yeah, not a lot of Bible scholars. You said that again. Who? Because not the Bible scholars that I've been listening to.
Well,
I mean when I got raised in faith, I had a rebirth in 2016, so I considered myself a newborn. I kept saying things that I've heard around, but I never verified them. I thought that, for example, I remember I was at a church, not inside the church, a church congregation of people, and I said, well, it's known that we're not sure that John that wrote the book of Revelation is the same John with the gospel. And they said, what? Who told you that? So I looked it up, and I saw that it's just something that some people say to attack the book of Revelation.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
there are some that say things. That doesn't make them Bible scholars.
I mean, didn't Paul write first before the Gospels were written? And that the Gospels weren't written for, some 30 years after Jesus was supposedly crucified and resurrected. And so in that time, the miracles that they're describing, maybe they were metaphors and not. I mean, wouldn't you agree that the miracles do have a metaphorical meaning, though you may think of them as literal historic events?
Both.
They're both. But what would it matter if it was a literal historic event as opposed to just a metaphor? Wouldn't it be just as powerful if it was just a metaphor that spoke to you as an individual human being?
No, because at the same time, people had to see that that man is not a prophet and he's not a man. They had to see that he made a crippled individual pick up his bed and walk. So a blind man to see. And yes, there are metaphorical meanings in that. And that leads me to the answer of the previous question here, that the reason that I don't give any focus at all on which was written first is because wherever, with the new eyes that God has given me now, wherever I read the Bible, I always get the same strong message that my soul agrees with. It verifies itself. And if the Gospels, as you said, we know that they were written later, then they have a lot of details that they should have been forgotten if they were written later. They are describing day by day the things that Jesus was doing. And we have 4 different accounts of them, and none of them seem to be forgetting any detail. So
Well, wasn't
if they were
the
written
Mark
later,
was written first, and then the others were written based on Mark and adding details here and there to the story?
I think that as they were going along, they were writing, like where they were when they were going to rest. They were writing. Maybe they delayed for a week to write this specific page, but they were written at the time that Jesus was there. That's what I
Oh,
think.
so you think
Not
they were writing at the time that Jesus lived?
yes, yes.
Okay. Now I
The
don't,
original,
you
the
know, I've
original
never,
parts,
right.
right? Because then they got copied and copied and copied, and then if we find a copy that happened 100 years later, and we date it, and let me not get into the dating methods, then that is written 100 years later. But where it got it from was not. So now, 2,000 years later, we do have a hard time going back and locating the original, writing of John. You know how many scrolls of the book of Revelation we have?
Probably a lot.
Right. That's what I thought. We have two.
Oh, okay.
And one of them is only fragments. They're very small ones. So in a sense, we only have one, but we have another one that the parts fit right where the other one continues. Yeah, it's just.
I mean, the Revelations is highly symbolic, and is it not?
You can't get any
when
more
they talk
symbolic.
about a dragon, and I don't know if these are even real or not from you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, like a dragon with 5 heads, or these mythical creatures that they
A dragon
mention.
with? I didn't catch it. A dragon
Well,
with?
a dragon with multiple heads, or I don't know if that's a figure in Revelations, but there's these,
Yeah, it is. It is. Chapter
there are
15.
these figures in Revelations that aren't these meant to be metaphorical and not a literal dragon with 5 heads?
100%, but they are referring to literal events that would take place later. But they, instead of saying, guys, there's gonna be an alliance between countries, and it's gonna be called NATO, and it's gonna have these heads, and one of them is going. Instead of saying that, it's saying a beast of iron. It's gonna have 13 heads. It's gonna be 13 kings. I actually don't, not sure. Remember, I'm just telling you that, of course, it is the most symbolic book in the book of Revelation, in the Bible, and that is meant to be symbolic because he was talking about future events from somebody who was seeing them 2,000 years before being able to understand them. And in there, I'll give you an example. He says that the 2 witnesses will be witnessed by the whole world, that their bodies would be left outside. How could something back then make sense to John that the whole world would witness it? He probably thought spiritually. But now we have the internet. Now, if something happens, there is a high chance, if it's a very big event, for the whole world to see it. Now, you might choose to ignore it and not click on that, but the world does have now the opportunity to see something globally. That didn't happen back in the day. And how would John know? Am I answering or am I rambling?
No, I understand that, because you're saying that it's symbolic because it's referencing events that are going to happen in the future. But I just find that there are so many different ideas about what is metaphorical in the Bible and what is meant to be literal, that
I know.
to a non-believer, it's
My sister's gone.
Oh, she left us. Oh, here, Aiden would like me to read a comment here. Gangster, can you bring it up for me, please?
Okay.
And while you do, let me just say that with the reality that the book of Revelation is 100% symbolic, but talks about future events, so it had to be symbolic. Add to that the parables of Jesus. So people take those two facts and say, well, how do you know that the rest of them is not parables? Well, that's not their job. Their job is not to be parables. Jesus' metaphors and parables were meant to be parables. And the book of Revelation is talking about 2,000 years later. And to give you a very short example of what I'm saying, in all the book of Revelation that John wrote, the only word he understood is the word horse. Horses existed. So I'm pretty sure he said, okay, horse, at least I know what that is. But even that is a symbol. We don't know exactly what it is, right? But from his perspective, 2,000 years ago, everything else that he wrote didn't make sense. But he was called to write, even though he doesn't understand. And even if you go 2,000 years before him, Daniel was given a vision about the end times. And he said, now put your pencil down or feather, whatever it was, because you will not understand what you just wrote.
Achilles?
Don't stress it. Yeah.
Would it be all right if Brother Pike joined us?
No, I'll plead the, I don't know, 7th,
Okay.
whatever it is, the same that BBM called
Okay.
for looping. Let's just keep it a short company,
Okay.
small company.
Well, let's
Okay.
read. Can we read Aiden's comment real quick? He was
sorry.
kind of stressing that he wanted us to check it out.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple questions about some other things. In chapters 4, 18, and 21 of Revelation, the apostles are all referred to, but the author makes no indication that he was among their ranks, which they would if it was John the apostle who wrote it. Any comment there, Achilles?
In those chapters, from what I remember, the reference is of things that are happening to the 144,000, to the dead in Christ, to those that are on heaven surrounding God's throne. It is not about the apostles. So we refer to the apostles as 12, right? Those 12. I don't think there is a single reference in the book of Revelation on those 12. Not a single one. Those 3 chapters are referring to the believers, to what happens to them. I remember that chapter 4 begins with the beasts, well, what the King James calls the beasts, or animals. And then it segues into the lamb in chapter 5, that and then to the horses. So there are no apostles. We can bring it up, but Aiden, do your reading. There are no apostles in the book of Revelation at all.
What about things like the story of Lazarus or the saints that rose from the dead and marched into Jerusalem after Jesus was crucified? Do you think that those were that people actually came back from the dead, or are those meant to have spiritual applications?
No, 100% physical occurrences.
I mean, there's a lot of question about, there's disagreements among Christians about whether the story of Lazarus is meant to be a parable or meant to be a literal event. I mean, for me, it's all, the virgin birth, the crucifixion, the resurrection. They're a metaphoric. They're metaphors, and they're
And
powerful metaphors. But
this is where we agree to disagree, right?
yeah, we'll agree to disagree. But I think that even viewing those metaphorically people can learn from those metaphors. Do you know what I mean? Without believing that
Yeah,
Jesus was
yeah,
literally God, or
yeah. But you know
I know
what?
you're not. We'll agree to disagree, but I just had to
Yeah,
throw it out there that that's my
yeah.
belief on it.
Okay, so um, I know you know my point of view, which is that it's not. Um, but I want to tell you that I've read a lot of books and a lot of stories about things that were written by men for ethical reasons. And the Bible is completely different because the other things, they are not telling me what a sinful nature I have. They are not making me despise myself so I can cry out for a savior. They are just stories that make me understand things. I've read the yogas, and they are very interesting stories. Karma yoga being my favorite one. It makes you understand like how to be benevolent, but there's nothing compared to the Bible. And then we arrive in 2016, where I took the epics of Homer as stories, and 3 scientific journals come out at the same time, and they say that the Trojan War actually happened. So if it did actually happen, and we have science telling us so, not like somebody that came out and said, I believe it happened. No, no, no. We're talking about 3 scientific journals at the same time in 2016 saying that we have enough evidence to understand that the Trojan War was real, and it made the whole nation disappear, which we don't know their name, but we call them the people of the sea peoples. They completely vanished from it.
Modesty.
If that is the case, I'm sorry, Gigi.
Oh, that's all right.
She's back with us.
Yep.
You guys can
If
continue.
that is the case, BBM, then Homer was the first historian, because we don't take Homer for the first historian. We take Thucydides. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name in English or American. And Heraclitus. We take those to be the first historians. Homer came before them.
Thucydides and Herodotus, right?
Yes.
So,
but how would War
okay, go ahead.
Happened? Yeah, if the Trojan War did happen, then it was a historical account.
Why do we know? Why would we think that it happened like it's described in the Iliad and the Odyssey? I mean, why would
we have no other account? We have zero. It is the only place that was talking about.
Okay, yeah. Let me just go on a little bit. Based on the location of where Troy was, which I believe was on the Bosphorus, right?
Yes.
The link between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, a very important, hugely strategic point.
Yes.
So I would think the fact that there was a war there at some time in history is a given. With the nature of the Greek civilizations, and I mean the Trojans were Greeks as well. So how do we know though that it occurred with King Priam and Paris and Helen of Helen
Yeah.
being kidnapped and that whole story. And there's also gods that are making appearances in that story
right.
as well, you know, with Aphrodite and Athena going at it. And
Yeah.
so how would you
And not
answer
only,
that instead
and
of
not
just
only,
us knowing? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, and not only they appear, they're the ones that started it.
Right. They started it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It
they were
was a
taking
beauty
part.
contest between Athena, Artemis, and Aphrodite.
Close. It was 100% that. You only made a mistake on the one of the three names. Artemis
Okay.
had nothing to do.
Okay. It
It,
wasn't
it
Artemis.
was it was Aphrodite, Athena, and Dimitra.
Hera? Oh,
Oh
oh,
no, Dimitra.
oh, really? Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
And so yes, the spiritual and the physical was interweaved in that story 100%, all of it. Like you can't get one page without a mention of some god.
Yeah. I mean,
So I
they're
don't know.
killing people left and right. I mean, Poseidon is shipwrecking people, and um,
Yep. And he
you
had
know,
his son was the famous Polyphemus, the giant one-eyed cyclops.
Cyclops. Yeah.
Polyphemus means multi-fame, like he was renowned for his
Odysseus
size and
poked his eye out.
yeah. So I highly suggest people to educate themselves on this, on the Iliad and the Odyssey, and educate their children on them, giving them, of course, the facts that we don't have 12 gods, but there are so many ethical messages in there. There is a reason that the Greek civilization spread so far. It wasn't like the Roman Empire that it was with a sword. It was with, the mentality and the respecting the divine, even though it understood it as 12, having 12 faces or more, because those were the main 12 gods. There were hundreds of other gods.
But what are the difference between the mythological creatures? Well, maybe you don't think they're mythological, but say in the Odyssey, you have, you know, the Cyclops, you have Scylla and Charybdis, which are between Sicily and Italy, and they're eating people, and there are all these creatures. And what's the difference between them and the Nephilim, the cherubim, these different things in the Bible that are just as strange and, you know, beyond our natural understanding? Why is
Yeah,
one a myth and the other considered to be literally true by you in particular?
I remember a phrase that I loved a lot. I think it comes from the Matrix. It says, "There is truth in your lies and lies in your truth." So, because I don't believe in the geological column and the billions of years, and I believe in something different, I do believe that there are some um, dragons, which we named dinosaurs 100 years ago, which to the sailors of the time, they looked way worse than what they were truly are. But there could be a monster which was waiting for the next ship to come to eat the soldiers because it's meat, to eat the sailors, you know? So now if it had like 7 heads, like the Scylla, I
Right.
don't know. I don't know, right?
Scylla had the 7 heads and Charybdis created the whirlpool.
No. Oh no. Yes.
Don't be arguing with me about the
Okay.
Iliad and the
Okay.
Odyssey.
Good. Oh, I love meeting somebody who knows stuff about Greek mythology, because I don't like talking all the time. So you're saving me a lot. But why is the Bible different? Because it's not going into that realm of fantasy. When it speaks of dragons, it speaks of one very specific dragon, Satan. When it speaks of beasts, it speaks of collective something that we would understand in this time and call it a beast. It means that it's not good in its heart and it has an evil purpose. But nowhere in the account of Genesis do you get monsters and dragons and wings, and it's a completely different thing.
Somebody's got some background scraping or something.
Could be my fan. I'll take it off. Tell me if it stopped.
I guess that was it.
Sorry.
Maud is looking at you, Achilles.
Yeah, I know. Can you come closer, Maud? I love when you do that.
She will go closer.
Wait. I love this thing.
Give your kids. It's really stretching. Like I want you to use that when you talk to somebody and you see that they are in a little bit of a cornered position. Start moving closer. It's stressing them out.
She did that to Gangster Ghost.
Yeah, he's seen it. He was telling me how he was laughing.
I'm almost talked out. What do you think?
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Thank you for your contributions. I'm just kidding. It's good to
more.
have you here, Maud.
Oh, thank you. Good to be here.
From what I recall, you found that avatar on the internet, right? It's not AI.
Yeah, it's not Google. I don't know what. It had a what do you call that when they put their stamp on it? It had one of them on it, but I took it off. So I might get sued one day.
Yeah, imagine that. It's so cute, and
Thank you.
it's probably a Japanese that drew it because the eyes are so big. They're like anime eyes.
Yeah. I thought it was cute.
So BBM, seriously, there is a lot of legitimacy in the Bible. We are not people that just believed in it. We arrived to it. And we are trying to call people to do the same. The same happens with the FE discussion. Have you ever seen me trying hard to convince people? I would like them to check it. But here's the thing. If I break up, if I don't like a girl and she goes out calling me gay because I didn't like her, do I care? Does that change what I am? The same thing happens with the shape. He doesn't care what we think it is. It is what it is. It's our job to figure it out. And figuring something out, whether, for example, somebody is what I just said, I don't want to say it again, you can't get it from somebody else that told you. You got to ask that person. And the way you can ask the earth is to actually look into the subject, like seriously. And you'll be surprised. Because I'm telling you for sure, I did not start looking into it because I believed in it. I started looking into it because I thought it was too stupid. And I wanted to hear what they're saying so I know how to, But I heard what they're saying. I actually did. I didn't. And it makes sense. So there are a lot of things that we take for granted, like, oh, yeah, they wouldn't lie to me. I mean, why? When did they ever tell you the truth? Do you know who killed JFK today? Do you know the true history of the World War? Do you still think that it's the United States that saved the world? So there's so many things that they haven't been telling us the truth, but there's this one thing that they would never lie to us. Right. Okay, I think that's naive. to think that for this world.
I
So
just-
then I arrive at
yeah.
the Bible that tells me that this is the world of a liar. And it's just lies everywhere. And I've never seen one book telling me that before. Not even the Iliad and the Odyssey.
I just think that you can arrive to a place of enlightenment without the Bible. And I don't think the Bible is the only way that you can reach that place of enlightenment. And what I don't like is something that you said earlier, which is we're all pieces of crap, but we try to work our way up from there. I just don't agree with that. We're just all trying to, we're just all animals trying to do the best we can. We're a social, ape species, and we're trying to do the best we can to get along with each other, but we're not inherently bad. And we're not born with something as children that makes us bad. Let me just finish a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that there's certain arrogancy in Christianity by saying our way is the only way to reach this. I'm going to call it enlightenment because that's how I want to refer to it. And that if you don't follow our way, there's not only are you not going to reach enlightenment, but you're going to go to a place that's just eternally, hell, basically. It's hell. And I just don't like what that does to people. I think it breeds depression in people. And I think there's much, I get a lot out of the Bible, and I've read a good portion of it. And I think there's portions of it that are just beautiful poetry, but I don't see it as, most of it as a literal story, but I do get things out of it, like I do out of other quote unquote holy books. But I just don't think that Christianity is the only place to get those lessons. And I think that there are people, that aren't studying the Bible that are getting to a place to be as good a person as you all who are getting that through the Bible. Does that make sense?
We're just better than you, No, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, that kind of is the way it comes across. When I watch your channel, that's the way it comes across.
Yeah, but what it is that there is a fallacy in your logic when I'll roll you back, where you said that we start from the premise that we are bad and then we are climbing. I don't remember the word that you used, but no, that is wrong about Christianity. We are bad and we remain bad. And we say, thank God for not living it up to us because we're terrible.
Why are you bad?
Because I make
what makes you a bad person?
Because I make evil thoughts, because
but you're not hurting anybody with them. They're just in your mind, right?
Yeah, but not compared to each other, compared to the source of ethics. We can never be good enough. I've stolen, I've lied, now I'm lying. I haven't cheated. I tried really hard not to cheat in my life, and Satan brought a lot of opportunities for me to do it, but I was taking it very personally that I will never do that. Not because I believed in a God, but because I didn't want to do that to the person that was taking me seriously. I didn't want it happening to me either. So I've had women getting naked around me, not many,
good.
not one, and
good.
almost begging. But that was because I was with another woman. When I broke up with that woman and I went to the specific girl, she rejected me, and it was like a month later. So what was in her nature there, and what is in the nature of women around me, that if I go to a bar, they don't look at me the same way that they look at me if they know I have a girlfriend. Why is that happening? Because we have some sinful nature, brother, and there are different reasons that we look at people. It's envy, it is inferiority complexes, that, oh, he has a girlfriend, let me see if I can get a look out of him. So
well, you're not looking at, you're not, I mean, you've kind of chosen not to pursue that, right? So you're not looking, when you go to a bar, you're putting off a vibe that I don't want you to even approach
right,
me.
and that works. Why does it work better than when you are actually available and you go with a friend?
So you're
And
saying that
instead,
that works for you when you put out that vibe that you're not available, that women then are attracted to you more.
yeah, I don't think it's just me though. I think it's like a norm that is happening.
So why aren't you pursuing those leads if you're attracted to that person? I mean, there's biologically we're attracted to each other. That doesn't have anything to do with the Bible or
I actually there was a girl that I really, really wanted in my life, and I knew how to get her. I knew that all I had to do is go with a girl, go with a girl there, and her being envious, she would turn and look at me in a different light. But I said that I don't want to attract that part of her. If she doesn't want me, I will not pretend to have another girl so I can get her to be jealous. I didn't want to bring out that nature and then have more problems, because I've had problems before.
well, everybody has, yeah.
Yeah, meaning that I know, like, if the girl is not like coming for you, but for other reasons, it will show later, and that will be too late, maybe.
Achilles gets all the ladies, right, Achilles?
No, no, because he wouldn't be alone if that was the case.
Well, but that's I think you're choosing to be alone. I mean, I think that if you opened yourself up to women and
No, I've actually, yeah, shut myself. I get opportunities around me, and I'm turning an eye immediately and running away, because I don't want that in my life right now.
do you think you'll want that in your life again,
Nope.
or
Nope.
why?
I'll leave it up to you to.
I mean, I think
The survival of our species.
maybe you don't want to be hurt and you don't want to your heart broken again.
No, what happened is that there is a video clip by, I think it's Green Day, that shows a guy who has a hole in his heart, and he's going out to meet girls, and the girls see the hole in his heart, and they get, oh no, you're terrible, and his heart has run off, and he's going after his heart. He's trying to get it, and she's giving him the finger and running away. So there is something to that, something that has happened to me, and I no longer care. I just don't. And I'm pretty satisfied with how my life is going, and I'm being absolutely honest. I do believe in a very short future, and I've dedicated myself in waking people up so they don't have problems when things turn bad. And they have right now turned much nastier than when I started talking about this back in 2016.
Yeah, but they're not as nasty as they've been in the past, apart from,
Well,
climate change has gotten worse, of course, but
at least in the past,
at World
you
War
could see the
II,
enemy. Yeah,
World
but
War
you could
II
see
in
the enemy
Europe.
there. Like, it was
I
there.
got you.
You could see the enemy. Right now, like, it's everywhere. Like, who can you even
What about in
for?
5 years if this doesn't come to fruition, the end of the world, can you put that aside and start to have relationships with people again? I'm not necessarily meaning getting married and stuff, but just hanging out with friends and women. And you do have friends, I'm sure. But
well, that leads me to tell you how come we are a sinful nature, and why no, other than a very, very, very select few, like a couple, maybe, I don't think I can call them two. I do have somebody that I do talk with, but other than that, um, when we have a private discussion, I can give you details of my
Okay.
past.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
not, I'm just
but
worried about, I'm just worried
I'll give
about you.
you, yeah, I'll give you one example. I am a huge fire happens, and what we get is a police instead of fire trucks, and the police is kicking us out of our homes. And if you don't go out of your home, they're bringing in a ramming device to break your door down and kick you out of your house. So I hid myself, and because I left, I evacuated those that I had to, and then I came back, and they wouldn't allow me back. But I had 5 dogs.
Yeah.
So who are you, Mr. Cop, to tell me that I can't go and pick up my dogs and I'm gonna let them die in the fire? A finger is not big enough. So you see what I'm saying. So I found a way to sneak in. I sneaked in, and the first night, a friend comes at the door with his bike, and he has another friend, which I don't know. And he's parking at my door, and I go out, and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "What do you mean what I'm doing here at my house? What are you doing here?" He says, "Well, I just I came by to check on you, check on the house." I'm like, "Oh, okay, don't worry about it. I fought the fire from the east, from the west, from the south, from the north, but it's fine." So where did you meet that guy? Who is that guy? "Oh, I just met him here at the fires," he said. I'm like, "Oh, okay, and you're riding together. All right." It didn't cross my mind that there could be anything wrong with that. So next night, they come back. So I go back again out, and I'm like, "Hey, man, looks like you found a way to come in and out without the cops knowing about it." It's like, "Yeah, of course, you know me. I would always, find my way around." I'm like, "Okay, okay." So the third night, he doesn't come by. The fourth day of battling with the fire, I was so exhausted, and the fire was coming back in a strength that it was no longer fightable. And I knew that I hadn't slept for 72 hours at all. And I felt that I would pass out. So I took my dogs and I left the house. I had 5 dogs at the time. Now I have only 3. So I send a message to that friend and I tell him, since I know you're going in and out, I took my dogs away. Keep an eye out at my house. Can you suspect what happened?
Yeah, I mean, those guys were there to loot your place from the very beginning, as far as I could tell.
Yep.
They didn't know you were there, but you trusted them. So, I mean, that guy wasn't really your friend, and the other guy was a complete stranger.
Right. But he was before.
Well,
Now he's no longer my
no,
friend.
they're like my friends would never. There's not a friend I have that would do that to me.
Oh, I would say that the same about that guy. I mean,
Really?
I would literally put my hand on the fire about that guy. Yeah.
So, are you saying that like um made you cynical about having friends in general because that
No,
guy
but
screwed
but
you
would you
over?
call that friend back? Would you care to have him as a friend? Is it
No.
me
No, I
that
would
has a
find
problem?
I would find new friends, I would not have
Well,
that guy's your enemy. I mean, there's
yeah,
good people
well,
all around you, right? I mean,
so yeah, I've had another friend who I had his dirt bike here and I've been working on it. I gave him his dirt bike in perfect condition. He took it away. My garage burned down because the other friend came in and started the fire from the garage. And the other friend never called me again.
Yeah.
Because now he no longer had something to gain from me.
You need,
didn't
I mean,
I grew up with him.
right.
I was his best man on his marriage. It's not like he was
I
some
mean, are you
random.
sure that that guy did that, or?
Oh, the best man is not the one that broke in.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I'm sure it's him because he had stolen something from me in the past, and we
Right.
fought about it. And then in a garage where 600 degrees Celsius melt even steel parts, I found that thing that he stole on top of the rubble, which was from rubber. And he came in the next day where the garage was burned down. And I left him in the garage alone to make coffee. And I came back with the coffee. And right after the coffee, he left. And there was this rubber boot of a spark plug. That's the part that I'm talking about. A stupid rubber boot of a spark plug. It was on top of the rubble that I couldn't even find my swing arm of the bike because it had melted. And then the next day, he comes by my house again and is driving away. And I shout at him from the window. I'm like, hey, where are you going? And I go down, and he said, oh, I just came by to leave you your stand that you put the dirt bike on, because I kept it for 10 years. And I decided that now that you no longer have dirt bikes, you no longer have a garage, it was a great opportunity to bring it to your door and leave without saying hi. So how much do you want to understand, like, these are very weird behaviors? And you know that the murderer always goes around the murder spot?
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah.
But you have a new dirt bike now, right?
Yeah, but that
Did you go ride it?
it's gonna be very funny.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I did.
And how was
But not
that?
not on the mountain yet, because I'm breaking in the engine, and it had been very dry, and I didn't have a good filter on it yet, and it was only the stock filter, and I didn't want it to get any dirt in, because the stock filter, I don't want to get very technical, but you put oil on it and the oil doesn't spread, and you have to squeeze it a lot and still the oil doesn't spread. So I knew that if I took it on the dirt, uh, I didn't want to do it with the stock filter. So anyway, I bought a filter. Now it's ready. And today I had rain. So probably tomorrow I'm going to be riding it.
Good.
But it's going to be very interesting that from the minute I lost my garage, I have been receiving 0 phone calls from every one of those people that enjoyed my skills on their dirt bikes. When they see the first video that is coming up on the internet about me having a dirt bike now, they're gonna call me,
Oh.
and I'm not gonna pick it up on any of them. It's been 3 years. I haven't received one phone call from one of those friends saying, "Hey, man, are you okay? Do you need anything?" So if they call
Right.
now that they know I have a dirt bike, why should I pick up the
Well,
phone?
they were your dirt bike friends.
Right,
They were
right.
not your deep friends. That's what you need, is you need some friends that are 24-hour, 365-day friends.
Well, Achilles,
I have,
Yeah, Logan, what do you got?
yeah,
I have a
go.
question for you. This is what I heard from Brother Pike before. What if the Epic Agoma match was inspired by the real event of Noah?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get
He's
it.
Brother Pike told me that he thinks it could be that the Giga match was inspired by the actual event of Noah's Ark.
I agree.
I think that's a pretty common
Yeah.
creationist argument, though I would say that the Epic of Gilgamesh inspired the writing of the flood account, and that there wasn't a flood in either case. But creationists would say that, yes, that the Epic of Gilgamesh is describing Noah's flood. It's just that they got the details wrong.
Yeah, Ted said that about a lot of flood myths around the world, he said.
There are, but all the details of them are completely different. The Epic of Gilgamesh, of course, is closer to Noah's flood because that culture is adjacent to Israel. And of course, as I said, it relates to when they were in exile in Babylon, and that's when Genesis was written. But that's why I think they're more closely aligned than, say, the Chinese flood account or one of the Chinese flood accounts and Noah's flood. But do you guys want to wrap this up at some point pretty soon?
Yes, I do have to feed my dog. But to that argument, I do want to say, at the same time, we had the Greek mythology later. But why weren't they inspired by the flood that was there to flood the Titans from Greek mythology? Why do you think that it had to be the Epic of Gilgamesh? Because it was closer?
I have to think about that.
I agree with Christian on this. It's the other way around. We have a lot of stories of the flood because the flood existed. And we have only one account that doesn't bring in mythological creatures. It only brings in the sinful nature of man. And that's the account. While the others are, a bit on the mythological side of reporting it. You put it that way. A bit too crazy. Greek accounts as well on the crazy side because they came later.
Right. Logan, how do you want to proceed?
Are you guys done talking?
I think so. We've covered a lot of ground.
It was a great time, and I do have to feed my dog.
Okay.
If you want to start another show, Logan, you can start another show up, and if people want to come on, it's up to you.
Okay.
BBM, let me give you a link. So if you want, I want to show you what I'm working on, because I'm riding a dirt bike. It's no longer about riding the dirt bike. I make videos for the past 8 years now.
Mm-hmm. I've seen some of your videos.
And I use I use dirt bikes to get the message across. Then the dirt bikes went away, but I continued the message. Now the dirt bike is coming back. I'm not going to stop from continuing on with the message. So if you want me to show you a bit of music, a bit of fixing some stuff, I'll give you the link to the backstage room. And I'm trying to come back now. I'm lost in tabs. Here I am. Okay, I'll give it a private chat.
How am I going to? I'm on my laptop. How am I going to? Oh, okay.
Private.
Let me. I'll get on my phone and screenshot it real quick.
Oh, you're gonna have to. It's not. It's an easy link though. Look at that.
Well, but do you want me to go on that link right now, or have it for the future?
Otherwise, you gotta let me know when, because I'm not there all the time.
Okay, let's do that because we could do it through Gangster Ghosts.
Okay. All right.
Is that possible?
Yeah, keep that link. It's I just made the room a couple of days ago, so we have this backstage there.
Okay, let me. I'm trying.
We're actually trying to shift from StreamYard because it's turning ugly when it comes to how much money it's asking, and we're not going to pay it.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, I got it.
Right.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
It was
you.
a
That was a
great-
good discussion.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, it was.
I'll make
Honored
sure.
to be part of it. GG has the best shows, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, gangster. That was
You're
good. Achilles, thanks for talking.
Thank you to my brother, Army Salute. I'll see you next
And
time.
yeah, see you guys next time.